Time I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes of the meeting?
Thank you. Second. Let's call the roll.
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson and others. So, again, we're going to, if there's no objections, to continue as we had done prior years in our last meeting, which is to all the recommendations of the mayor will be accepted, and but if anyone has a motion or any comments or wants to change anything, obviously we can do that tonight, or we can come back at a later date. So I'll ask someone to make a motion that we accept the mayor's recommendation if there's not a requested change as the amounts that would be used to prepare for the committee's vote for publication and to approve the budget for a commission vote. If there is a motion to change the mayor's recommendation, then roll call votes will be taken on those motions.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we follow the same procedure that we have previously done.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. A second. Thank you, Commissioner Piercy. Let's call the roll, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch.
Yes. This time I'm going to call on Mayor Ketron. Members, if you would turn to your pink section in your book, you'll find all the information that we'll need, the first part of the meeting condensed there. Mayor Ketron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I would like to drop down before we get into the other 501c3s, not-for-profit organizations that have requested funds. I'd like to go down to the bottom of the page where we're talking about HARC. You'll see HARC is listed there. Last year, I recommended $12,500. This year, they have requested $15,000. So let me give you a little history about HART. So many of you know Reba Carlton, who is our grant coordinator, and has done an excellent job. But she got involved with HART several years ago at the formation of HART and became their treasurer. So soon after my election in 2018, I was given a check to take down. It's about October, after I came in September, to take down to the City Hall. And both Mayor McFarland and myself presented two $20,000 checks to HART. A lot of other organizations were supporting and supportive of HART, which is trying to help the homeless population within our community. My concern at that time was that, looking at their budget, a large amount of the money was going towards the executive director, Mr. Bill Krause, at the time, and he had an assistant. But I didn't see where money was actually, let's just say that probably 90% of the money that they collected was going towards salaries and the organizational structure, as opposed to what it was truly intended for, was helping our homeless population when it's continuing to grow here. So we gave the following year another $20,000, and last year, because Mr. Krause stepped down and retired, he got frustrated and said that he wasn't, the organization was not doing what he felt it was compelled to do as well. So last year I recommended to you that we cut it from $20,000 down to $12,500, which is reflected there on your pink sheet. Reba and Trish Breeding was our representatives on that board. I got a call from Trish Breeding, who said that she didn't feel comfortable in recommending the $20,000 contribution because the new director stepped down about 3 weeks ago, which leaves them with 2 part-time people. And they were requesting, they wanted to buy a $92,000 software data software where they could collect the names and the data so they can track the number of homeless here in Rutherford County. Well, based on what Reba and Trish both have shared with me, several conversations, that they feel it's unwise to make that type of business decision where you're spending more for a software data program than you do for the funds that are actually coming into the organization. So they're going to be spending more than they bring in. So I was conflicted on what type of recommendation to make to you here tonight. I reached out a couple of weeks ago to Megan Flippin, who is here representing United Way. United Way has the same type of software, not what software they're wanting to buy, but the software, and it's really confusing, and we may need to get Megan to come up and explain the software that they have. It's just like it's a data tracker software that they're using, and she's talked with her board members, and they're willing to shift those funds from here. I just don't feel comfortable in asking the citizens to pay for throw good money after bad. So if we could get, Mr. Chairman, ask Ms. Flippin to come up, and anybody else that's here with her, so we can kind of work our way through this. The homeless issue is not going away, but how do we best handle it?
Flippin, you can.
And how do we best spend those dollars requested?
Mr. Chairman, is there anybody from HARC here?
No. I reached out to them, and they never responded to me, just like they didn't last year, because the executive directors quit, and they only have 2 part-time people.
Just looking at, they've got a long history, and this has been a pretty condemning taped
Yes, sir.
editorial on that board.
Well, it is, but we're at that crossroads, and I can't honestly come in here and ask you to spend money, and nothing happens. You know, not one. We still got people eating out of garbage cans, you know, that are homeless. Ms. Flippin. Introduce your guest, and that's with you.
Thank you, Mayor Ketchern and Commissioner Gooch. Yes, United Way does have a platform that we have had in place probably since 2015. It was created during Hurricane Katrina. It's called Charity Tracker, so we have been utilizing the community module of that platform, which currently has about 160 local nonprofit organizations, churches, and schools that are registered. So it's a shared case management platform, communication platform. There is an HMIS, Homeless Management Information System, module to that HARC has been utilizing for the last few years. It's my understanding that there may need to be some adjustments made to that platform, but that it does fulfill the need for the HMI system related to the continuum of care. So I do have my colleague Kristen Swan here, and she can speak a little bit more specifically about the HMIS component of that software and what its capabilities are.
Hi there. So just so you guys know, HMIS, if our continuum of care is to receive HUD funding, we have to have an HMIS system. So that has to be in place for us to receive that funding. There's several reports that have to be completed each year, so there is some staff required to do that reporting. And so what we've spoken to the mayor about is that if it is the will of the continuum of care, so the continuum of care is all of the agencies that are serving the homeless population in our community. If they want us to be the HMIS lead and they vote on that, we are willing to do that. And we could keep that platform within the current platform that we have. It is much less expensive. It is not as robust as the other system that they're looking to switch to, but we believe that it is adequate for their needs. So that's if you guys have any questions, we're happy to answer that. But I just want to make sure you guys know that we can only do this if the continuum of care wants us to be the HMIS lead.
So the question would be then tonight, if they vote, which I think the next vote is going to be July, right? That's after we set our budget. We could, if this commission chooses to fund dollars to the United Way to help take over what's not happening with HARC, how much money would it take? I just plugged in $2,500 because that's what we normally do for agencies for United Way. You've never been on here. We do our chili cook-off. We raise money through our employees every year for United Way. But to be on this list, you've never been there. So I just plugged in $2,500. Now I want to go back. Would it be how much would it take to fund the program adequately?
So the HMIS software that we currently have in place is about $32,500 a year. There would also need to be a part-time staff person to help administrate that software. I'm not suggesting that has to all come from the county, but I would estimate we would need it probably around $60,000 a year to administrate the staff person as well as the software.
So the request then would be tonight to either fund $60,000 to fill this void for our homeless population, and because you have a board of directors, you're doing things right at United Way, or not funded at all. I can't recommend to you to fund anything for HARC when they don't have a director, when they are wanting to spend more money than they're bringing in. So I think that's the choices, and I want to have some frank discussion about this is an important decision and how we move forward with that segment of our population.
I guess my question would be, what is the benefit of tracking? So if you
So the benefit of tracking within our continuum of care is for us to be able to see where the gaps are in services. There's also a process within HMIS. So our friends at Doors of Hope are here, and they are actually the coordinated entry lead. So with coordinated entry, the concept is that anyone that's experiencing homelessness should be able to go to a coordinated entry point. Doors of Hope is one of those, and get an assessment called a VIASPDAT. With that assessment, they're then put on a by name list that prioritizes them with their need. You guys all know, I know you are so supportive of our community, and you know that there's just not enough resources to serve everyone that's experiencing homelessness. So this system is designed to create, and my friends at Doors of Hope, please interrupt me if I'm saying this wrong, but it gives people a prioritization score. So example, a family who is literally homeless, perhaps living in their car that has children, would have a higher prioritization score than a single person who has somewhere to go but is not permanently housed. Does that make sense? So this system helps with that. It helps create that by name list for all of the agencies within the continuum of care. The continuum of care currently has about 60 agencies as part of its membership. And just to be clear, HARC is not the continuum of care. The continuum of care is all of the agencies that are serving this population. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Commissioner Dodd?
Thank you. It's a lot of money quickly, just got dumped on us, so bear with me. So the continuum of the 60 agencies now, without HARC, have no clearinghouse or no leadership, or I'm reading that HARC was the clearinghouse. Is that?
So within a continuum of care, and a continuum of care is a HUD mandated requirement for any community across the United States. HARC is currently serving as the lead agency for the continuum of care. The continuum of care is kind of a consortium of those agencies. We're not suggesting that HARC goes away. We're suggesting that we could potentially become the HMIS lead. So that's the lead for that software system. So that, you know, and again, if that is the will of the membership, we can't make that decision.
The membership you're referring to are the 60-some-odd agencies.
Correct.
And they're, I would rather that board or that group contemplate their future and make an ask instead of us dropping. So from 12,000 to Hart, 4,000 to you guys, or none last year, to 60,000 tonight, I'm not willing to make that choice. I'd rather have.
I was going to suggest to you, Commissioner, that if the will of the committee is to move forward with that, make it contingent upon after they have their vote in July, and let them decide their fate of how they're going to be able to, you know, otherwise you can come back in July. We don't meet in July, so it'd be August.
Question, so you were saying that they have 2 part-time employees?
That's my understanding. And talking to Reba this morning, one part-time employee. She lives where?
She lives in Easton.
She lives in
Works remotely, part-time for Hark.
Okay.
So they have 0 team members in Rutherford County?
Correct.
Well, I guess my question was going to be, could one of those part-timers be the staff member that does the programs? But if they're not here,
Well, she works
could
remotely.
she do that remotely?
Could you step back up to the microphone when you speak, please?
I'm
Thanks.
sorry.
I really don't want to speak for Hart because they're not our employees, but she is a part-time person, and she's helping to fill that function currently to be an HMIS administrator. So I don't know what Hart's plans are. The board leadership is all here locally, obviously. So yes, she absolutely could continue to administrate. I think. I mean, I don't want to speak for them because they're not our staff members.
So let's say that she could do that. Then that would bring it from 60,000 to, if they're already
30.
employed, being paid, and they can monitor the program. So instead of, and y'all wouldn't have to hire anybody. That's what I'm getting at, is what would that bring that down to?
The software itself is $32,500 a year. So.
That answered my question.
And also, I did not know we were going to need to present a number. I'm just estimating, so we could certainly probably talk more about that.
Commissioner Stevens?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Where do most of the homeless people in Rutherford County live? Or that's a bad question. Where are they located?
I don't know that I'm fully prepared to answer that question. I will tell you that, you know, the continuum of care looks at anyone that's experiencing homelessness. So that is defined a lot of different ways. I think sometimes we think those are the folks outside the library right now, right? But it's also families. You know, United Way estimates that we have about 10,000 evictions in Rutherford County a year. So those families are homeless. They don't have anywhere to go. So, I mean, they're all over our community. They're not, you know, I think we think of the person under a bridge or, you know, something like that, but I think they're all over our community.
And I guess where I'm going with that is, has Murfreesboro or Smyrna or Laverne been approached about this to help contribute to this if we decide to go that direction?
Say Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne, do you mean the city of Laverne, the town of Smyrna? Not to my knowledge. I think the city of Murfreesboro is currently providing support to the HARC organization, as Mayor Ketron mentioned, but this all has kind of manifested here recently, this conversation about United Way potentially being the lead, so those conversations have not happened.
But before the county gets obligated to fund this, I think it would be very helpful if Murfreesboro and Smyrna, Laverne, and wherever the people are located or staying or temporary living, I think that group needs to help us pay for this too if we decide to go that direction instead of us doing it. Do the 60 agency groups, do they contribute any toward this software, or is it just all upon us? Or
They're all fighting for dollars themselves.
Yeah.
I didn't know if any money came from them to help fund this system, or if it was all on you or us to pay for it.
To my knowledge, no, there is not contributions from the member agencies, but I can't speak specifically for the HARC organization, but to my understanding, no.
Well, I, like Commissioner Dodd, think we need to have a good plan and know what the answers are to these questions before we just randomly commit $60,000 to something. So I kind of want to hold off and see what happens after that consortium gathers and votes on the direction they want to take it, because they may not even want to go this way. They may have a different plan that works better for them, they think. So I'm just not willing to commit $60,000 tonight to it.
Yep. That's fine. You know, so my recommendation, Megan, I guess we'll wait till after they meet in July. My recommendation tonight would be not to fund HARC. And then let you all decide whether you want to fund it or not, and then come back in August and decide what you want to do, and that will have given them time to sort this out. But again, like I said, the problem's not going away, and what is the best way to, you know, some of you may know Sandy Bell. Sandy, she drives her Mercedes down there under the bridge and feeds people herself, and you know, she gets very frustrated with government because they're not reaching and doing what she's doing, you know, out of the back of her own car, because her heart is there. And but like I say, it's a problem that's not going to go away. Just how is the best way to do it? And that's why I reached out to United Way, because they have the staff, they have the building, they have the wherewithal to actually affect getting food into people's stomachs, you know, that are homeless. You know, so okay, thank you all for coming tonight.
I want to just throw something out real quick. So if the software is $3,250 and we've got in the budget for $2,500, if we were to take last year's money to HARC and put that with your existing $2,500, that would be about $15,000, which is about half of the software. Would y'all possibly have it in your funds to make up the rest?
We would have to approach our board to have that conversation. We just approved a budget ourselves that did not include that in there, but we could certainly have that conversation with our board leadership.
I think it's just something to think about. Is there anything else from the committee? Commissioner Allen.
So HARC is lacking leadership from an executive director standpoint, but they do still have a board. Is that correct? Okay, so the board would need to release this responsibility to United Way, and in addition to that, the consortium of agencies would also need to vote to accept United Way. So there's a process. So who's going to take the lead on making that happen? Because I'll stop there. Who's going to take the lead on making that happen?
That would have to be the leadership of the HARC organization, and we did have a conversation with the leadership Monday morning, and I think certainly the organization is at some crossroads, kind of looking at the future of where they're going. I can't speak for who would take the lead, but the leadership of that board would have to initiate that change. The board would have to approve it, and then those member organizations of the consortium would have to agree, as you said, to release that responsibility.
Well, thank you all so much for just even being willing to have this conversation and fill that gap, because I know that's one of the things that we're hearing more and more frequently is the homeless population is growing, and what are we doing to address that? And so I appreciate you being willing to stand in that gap and help us solve this. But it sounds like there's still some more conversations that need to happen.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. I think we have one more question from
Yes, just to echo that, I just want to thank y'all for coming up here unprepared and still being professional and being full of information. So thanks, and sorry we put y'all on the spot, but.
And we have access to a lot of information, not necessarily that we have it in front of us tonight, but if there are follow-up questions or data points that anybody would like to receive, we'd be happy to collect that data and share it with you.
Thank you, ladies. Mayor?
Okay. Members, we'll go back to your pink sheet. And my recommendations, you'll go down to
The total.
so everything from, you'll look halfway down on contributions, you'll see the number 316 says contributions. So the only one that is actually, I'm recommending to give $1,000 more than what they got last year was Special Kids. Doors of Hope, they asked for $100,000. This is their first time to ask. And they do have a new board, and they're doing some good things, but as our rules have been, $2,500, so I'm recommending that. So that would be a total of $575,302.
If the committee would allow, Commissioner Gammon, do you have some comments or anything that you have from Laverne? If the committee doesn't mind, would you approach to do that, please?
Mayor, I was just told probably a month or two ago that I'm going to be appointed to the advisory committee of the Laverne senior citizens.
That mean you're old?
Sir?
Does that mean you're old?
Well, I'm getting there, and I think my wife's getting ready to join. And she's her and a friend. I was just talking to them about that. And it was an honor to be, well, not asked, but told I was going to be on the board. But I was really glad to be. And even more, I went, they had a graduation party for the senior citizens here recently. And it was, the theme was cowboy and cowgirl. And those senior citizens showed up, and we had, the vice mayor was the DJ, and I'd never seen such dancing in my life. And I really had, it was really touching. I really enjoyed it. If you ever get a chance to spend time with senior citizens, it joys your heart. But I was asked to read, it's basically thanking the county commission and everyone involved for what they do for Laverne senior citizens. To whom it may concern, we at the Laverne Senior Citizen want to thank Rutherford County for all they do to help our center with the grant, and would like for you to know some of the programs that these grants help us be able to offer the senior citizens population. We offer a wide range of activities to our seniors, such as Wii Bowling League, cornhole, bingo, cards and games, craft classes, and have added a variety of outside games. We promote health by doing blood pressure checks. We have a massage lady that comes by once a month. We have health screenings, or we take senior citizens to the health fairs and have guest speakers come into senior center to talk to the senior citizens about issues in seniors. We were able to get our seniors an outside area to get exercise, play outside games, or just be able to go outside and socialize with their friends. We also do many fundraisers and help raise money ourselves to be able to upgrade our center. Again, we want to thank you all for all you do. Respectfully, Melissa Cooper, Senior Citizen Coordinator.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there anyone else from the nonprofits would like to speak or make a comment? If you would approach the podium and state your name and who you represent, please.
Hello, I'm Fran Dunn, and I'm the Executive Director of the Senior Activities Center of Smyrna. And I don't know how many of you all are aware that the month of May is Older Americans Month, and we are finishing off a month long of celebrating our older Americans in Smyrna. The town of Smyrna passes a proclamation every year proclaiming May 1 as Senior Citizens Day in Smyrna, and we honor all the senior citizens, not just the members of our center. much like Commissioner Gammon mentioned, we do many of the same things that they do in Laverne. We are growing by leaps and bounds. I checked the membership today, and we have already gained over 40 new members this year. And with the rate that they're coming in, I anticipate by the end of the year that we will top our membership of 600, which is what we had prior to COVID. We are so grateful to the county for their support and gladly accept the grant money that you are appropriating for us. I just want to let you know, because of our growth, we will be kicking off a capital campaign to build a new building at our spaghetti dinner on August 20th. We are going to change up our spaghetti dinner this year. We're moving the dinner portion to the Smyrna Event Center because we're going to be honoring families impacted by Alzheimer's. So many of you all will be getting letters about this next week. We certainly hope that we can count on your individual support or your business support for this, but it's the place to be. Seniors are the best, and I tell people every day how much I love my job. And I'm officially old, I admit it, but I'm going to hang in there for quite a few more years because I want to see this new building built. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much. If you would come to the podium and state your name and your organization, please.
Hello, my name is Shanika Scott, and I'm the Assistant Director at Doors of Hope, and this is Julie Bradley, and she is our Clinical Director. We just wanted to come up and say we are so grateful to have the county support at Doors of Hope, where we empower women to break the cycle of addiction, incarceration, and homelessness, and we've been providing services to Rutherford County since 2011, and we're really excited because our next venture includes an 8-bed treatment facility at no cost to women that we are excited that will be opening in July. So we just got done capital campaigning for that. So we're really excited that the county has given us so much support as we start our new initiative as being a part of the solution to the opioid epidemic in Rutherford County. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. If you would come forward and state your name and your organization, please.
Good evening. I'm Susan Galeas, and I'm the CEO for the Family Center. And I just want to extend our kudos to Doors of Hope. We work very closely with Doors of Hope, along with a number of other nonprofits in the community. This support that we get from Rutherford County is critical. It helps us leverage our child abuse prevention funds that we receive every year to provide more services to vulnerable families that have very vulnerable children. It also allows us to work with the staff who are working within government facilities and jails, and allows us to help them become more trauma-informed in their work with those vulnerable populations. Each year, we help thousands of children by working with thousands of families, and we couldn't do it without your support. We're really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Fabrian Wade, and I am the board treasurer of the Community Helpers of Rutherford County, the Cork organization. And I'm representing our organization. I would like to thank the county for your continued support to Cork. We have been working diligently across all of Smyrna, Murfreesboro, as well as Laverne, to help prevent homelessness across the population. And in addition to the homeless prevention activities that we have, we also provide financial assistance for rent, utility, and medication assistance for our senior citizens. And the work that we've been doing is continuing to grow, as I know all the other nonprofits can say, in that it takes a village to help our community. And so we just want to thank the county for your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Before we move forward, are there any questions about the nonprofits from the committee? Commissioner Allen?
I'm always in favor of equitable contributions whenever we look at this. The only one that I can see that really applies across all of our communities are the support that we give to the senior citizen centers. So if you look at the population based on 2020 census, we give on average, Laverne, we give them $1.28 per person, per just a general population, not seniors. City of Murfreesboro, we give them $1.21, and in Smyrna, we give them 99 cents. So if we gave them the $60,000 that they're asking for, that would make it $1.20 per person, which would make it more in line with the contributions that we're giving the other two centers. I would like to make a motion that we adjust that to the $60,000 for them.
Okay, we have a motion to raise the contribution to the Smyrna Senior Citizen Center from $49,620 to $60,000. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Let's have some discussion. Any questions or concerns from the committee? Is there a statement from the staff? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes. The motion is carried. Anything else for the nonprofits? If not, we'll move forward. If you look at the agenda, we're going down to is it the Rutherford County Library System?
It'd be the rehab center. Would be the next one, the
Tennessee
second
Rehab
one on
Center.
your
I got
list. Yes, 55,750.
I thought that was that. Motion going.
The motion was going from to 60,000.
Was it not the total.
For that total with that?
What was your motion, Ms. Allen?
It was to adjust our contribution annually from $49,220 to $60,000.
Yeah, it was not the total.
Okay.
Sorry, was that the?
Okay, so then the rest.
I'm sorry, it was $49,620 to $60,000.
You would be adding the 14,400 something to that 575,302.
Makes it 585.
585, 682. So that would be the appropriate motion. Right. Or
I
you wanna
guess
combine them
everything
all?
else stands, is kind of how.
What we voted on was just for Rhonda Allen's, Commissioner Allen's motion.
Correct.
And so far, everything else stands, unless there's any other motions at this time.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, let me just share that I recommended over and above what was budgeted last year for the library, Rutherford County Library System.
We're working on
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I think we're on the Tennessee Rehabilitation
rehab center currently.
All right. Well, I was going Division of Forestry the same, Tennessee Rehab's the same. Sorry, I jumped down to anything that changed. Adult Activity Center, Journeys in Community Living is the same. Libraries, my recommendation is to go with their request.
We could take the Tennessee Rehab Center and ask if anybody has a question. That's a separate line item that we need to either not change or vote on to change, one of the two.
What we'll do is let the mayor, if we can, finish his presentation, and then we're open the floor. on any ones of above, which would be fire and rescue, general welfare assistance, Tennessee Rehab, adult activity center, Rutherford County Library System, Parks and Recs.
Parks and Recs is they get 5% of the hotel tax. Is that correct? So
Yes, that's a calculation.
it's an automatic.
So whatever. I mean, they get 5% of
5%.
whatever we get. So that's an estimate.
Okay, so is there anyone from the Division of Forestry?
No, that's.
That's in the fire department.
already
That's already
said.
been covered. Mhm.
So the Tennessee Rehab Center, is there anyone here to speak for that or make any comments? Journeys in Community Living? Rutherford County Library Systems? If you would come forward and state your name, please.
Good evening, I'm Rita Shacklett. I'm the Director of Libraries for the Rutherford County Library and the system, and we are just very grateful for your continued support over the years, and we seek to really provide services all across the county, and we are especially pleased to report that things at the archives with the new historical research center that we moved, you allowed us to move in there last July, has gone really, really well. And so just thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Ms. Shackle. Okay.
On the library system, or on the pink sheet,
Let me.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's
Go
my,
ahead.
this is my fix. He had put 1,994,000 even, not the 814, but I put in the budget
She went in and put it in the budget.
814.
Additional 814.
I got you.
Okay. So is that your recommendation?
Yeah.
814, okay. I just
So the
need to
record
clear
was-
that one up.
Just trying to make it
The record will show that the library system is $1,994,814.
correct.
The increase is some 90,000 from current budget. What, just curious, what's
I'm sorry.
the increase from the current budget, 1,901,000 up to 1,994,000? Is that county salaries, or is there another, the increase is?
Rita, you want to
I
come back
see
up?
her shaking her head, staffing.
Oh, that's okay, I get my steps in. That is partially salaries, partially insurance. We cut some things out this year that hasn't been used as much as we have, but we do a salary study every 3 years, so it was time, and so we had some significant changes in salaries. Moving forward, we were only able to go halfway this year. We couldn't even fund the whole thing. But we're going to start doing that every year so that we don't have such a big catch-up to do at one time. So, anything
more
else while I'm
questions?
here?
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, moving on to tourism.
It's back here.
Tourism, Chamber of Commerce gets 15% of the hotel motel tax. That's automatic. Heritage Center is the same. Main Street's the same. Oakland Association, it was in the budget.
Not request.
They did not make a request.
They
this year.
never sent in a request.
No.
So I didn't know how to act on that. Sam Davis Home, they got 11 last year. They requested 15. I recommended 12. Center for the Arts, first time. They weren't there last year, but they're requesting, recommended 2,500.
Are there any questions from the committee on this line item? Not, we'll move to Destination Rutherford.
Yes, sir. Same as last year's budget, 135.
Anything from the committee? Not, we'll move to the Economic Development.
Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development, same as last year, 96.5. Mr. Chairman, that completes those recommended contributions.
If there's no comments or questions from the committee, we'll move to the Highway Department, Highway Fund, tab 9 and 10. Is the Superintendent, Mr. Brooks?
As they're coming up, the estimate for revenue for this fund is $13,469,632. Appropriations, $12,329,724.
Mr. Brooks, could you introduce your lovely partner here?
This is my department coordinator, Miss Mary Hickerson, whom I could not get by without.
I know you could.
So we're here tonight to present our operating budget for the next fiscal year. It was approved at the road board meeting on April the 4th and unanimously. I'm sure that you have what I have as well as some other things, but if anyone has any specific questions, I can tell you that it's a balanced budget. We anticipate every year. We try to be very conservative when we're estimating our revenue, and we anticipate collecting a revenue this year of $12,779,774, and we project our expenditures to be $12,329,724. So. The changes that you might see if you're looking at the expenditure worksheet, probably between last year's budget and this year's, or between the current year's budget and next year's budget, will probably reflect the changes that were made for the Plainview project, the Plainview School project that we did out in the Christiana area. Again, if anyone has any specific questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them. If I can't, that's why I brought Miss Mary, because I know she can.
Any questions or comments from the committee at this time?
I'll break.
Miss Lisa spent $3,800 when we walked in the door that we didn't realize was going to happen. The communications line item.
Yes,
Cody wants his money back.
Yes, he does. Under the administration, under communications, we need to add $3,800 to that line to make it $10,300. That brings the total for the fund $12,333,524.
So the revenue is estimated to be $13,469,632, with expenditures $12,329,724, which will add to the ending fund balance, if I'm reading this correctly, $1,139,908.
Yes.
And so that would be the Budget Committee's recommendation.
But less the $3,800 that Lisa just
Plus
mentioned.
thank you. Okay, so I guess the question, why do we have pennies needed to balance 1.11?
A negative number, because they've got a
It's a
balanced
negative.
budget.
Okay, negative number. Okay, got you. Anything from the committee? Anything from the road board staff? If not, we'll move forward. Thank you very much.
We need to make a vote on that $3,800 and or just the budget in its entirety,
I
really.
think we need to,
Okay, do we need a motion for that? Okay, is there a motion to add those funds to the?
So moved.
Commissioner Dodd, thank you. Second.
Budget, because this is not a mayor recommended budget, and we're doing the motions only on mayor's recommended budget, so.
So, Commissioner Dodd, your motion is to approve the highway fund with additional
With
funding.
additional $3,800 on the communications line item.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Stevens? Any discussion? Let's call the roll, please.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen? Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll move forward to the Health Department. Is Ms. Dixon with us? And also Mr. John Blair is with us also.
Good evening, Chairman Gooch, Mayor Ketchum, and commissioners of the committee. I just want to first say thank you for your continued support of our local health department, both here in Murfreesboro and our health department in Smyrna. Tonight, we do present to you all our budget for our local health, as well as our dental health program and other local health services. We are looking at three explanations within our local health in which we would like to add some additional funding towards. The first of that being our salary supplements and increasing the compensation for our public health director so that we can help recruit and retain a public health director. The second is other salaries and wages. Seeing that we have grown tremendously over the past year, and of course having to deal with COVID-19, we want to ensure that we can have staff that can supervise and also be able to have further training within our clerk positions. And then additionally, of course, cost of everything has gone up this past year, so the cost of our trash has increased, as well as our cleaning contract services, which we want to bring to you all tonight. Over the past 2 years, our cleaning contract services has really kind of stayed stagnant, and so this year the person that is doing a phenomenal job of cleaning our health departments is asking for an increase in there. With that increase, is going to include our floors, so this one thing he's going to add to there, having them stripped and wax annually, as well as carpet cleaning, because we've had a lot of traffic that's come into our health department over the past year, as you all can imagine, as well as our windows, and then an increase for materials for the cleaning supplies. And so that is our local health services budget.
So, Mr. Chairman, the other night, as you were there, purchasing committee, we did put it out to bid this year. Plan 9 cleaning services, they seem to do a much better job at the recommendation of the director. They do a deeper clean, more sanitizing. It needs to be in that building than what you would in some of our other buildings. They won the bid for annually $39,200. Monthly was $2,950. Now, option A is to be considered tonight, which is annual stripping and waxing of tole and vinyl floor at $2,000. Option B is annual shampooing of carpeted areas. And option C is annual cleaning for exterior windows at $800. And that's what the purchasing committee wanted to send is option A, B, and C.
What was that total?
What line item does that come out of?
So that is coming out of line item 399, so other contracted services.
is that in place of or addition? What is the line?
We didn't know what this was.
In 399, you've got 85,000.
So it will be in addition to that 85,000. So that extra, I think about 5,000 that he has in A, B, and C on there, is it roughly 5,000?
Okay, A, B, and C is 3,800.
3,800.
3,800.
If you had all three, A, B, and C.
Is 38, is that the addition?
The addition to the 8,500.
85,000, yes.
That's what I was going to,
Yes,
85,000, and we need to add 3,800.
3,800, yes.
Okay.
I was thinking it was a little bit more, but that's, Mr. Blair, that's what we need, the 3,800, so.
I thought it was a little more too, so.
The last bid that Plan 9 Cleaning did was, a couple of years ago, was $35,400. We added in an extra $3,000 into this particular request, not knowing that he might go a little bit above that. We just planned to go a little bit above just in case. But his actual bid with everything included came in at $43,000. So basically it's $43,000. I'd have to get out my calculator, but it's $43,000 minus $35,400. Basically, take that and you'll get pretty close. Hold on. I'm having a moment. I think it's closer to about 4,500-ish, I think.
Is the increase 4,500? Because I thought that there was an increase to the base
Yes, ma'am,
amount.
there was.
So the increase that we need to add is 4,500.
Yes, ma'am, that's
Okay.
correct.
So that would increase 399 to 89,500.
Yes, correct.
Commissioner Allen?
Mayor, you added in on line 707, building improvement, $75,000.
That's a grant. That was the grant that y'all approved this year, and they just did not feel like that they would have it done this year, so we've rolled it into next year.
And what are we going to do with that money? I don't remember.
Is that the awning?
At the awning for Smyrna.
So the awning for Smyrna, but additionally, that is going to allow for us to get some additional carpeting done, as well as painting and some renovations done for both our Smyrna and Murfreesboro Health Departments.
So if we're changing the mayor's recommendation, do we need a motion and vote on that, Mark? Okay. Can we have a motion to increase the mayor's recommendation from 85,000 to 89,500 in line item 399?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Dodd. Are there any discussions or questions? If not, we'll call the roll, please.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes. The dental health program?
Yes, so for our dental health program, we are not requesting any additional funds.
Other local health?
The same with other local health as well.
And I'm assuming the alcohol and drug programs will be the same?
That is actually not our program. We learned that.
That is not their
Their program.
Okay.
That is the
program.
It used to be our program,
anymore.
yes.
the program with Commissioner Harris with the
Billboards
billboards.
for opioid.
We're partnering with him, but it's his program now.
Okay, are there any questions for Ms. Dixon or Mr. Blair?
One comment before they leave.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say what a fabulous job LaShann has done and gotten us through COVID. As you remember, Dana passed away. LaShann stepped up 2 years ago. We had our meeting today at lunch, and it was what, March
13th, Friday 13th.
Friday 13th was our first case of COVID in Rutherford County. And she and her whole department stepped up like troopers like no other and helped us manage our way through COVID. It's still not over, but we just want to say we wish you the best. She's going on a Disney cruise with her family tomorrow, but she is ending her term. She's resigning at the end of the month, I believe. And she's still with the state and going up a little higher, up the ladder, but we'll miss you. And we thank you for everything you've done to help get us through COVID. John, you've been rock solid behind her, keeping her up, because sometimes I know it was tough. All those people testing and vaccinating and keeping your people pumped up. You did an excellent, excellent job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's your last budget.
Recreation.
Yeah, Mr. Marshall.
Mr. Marshall?
Yeah, we need to, I don't know, but at least people are up here since they're.
Hello, my name is Joseph Reed. I'm the County Recreation Director. This is Mr. John Marshall. He is the Chairman of the Conservation Board. We would just like to say thank you for your support. We are excited to say that County Recreation is back growing post-COVID. We have increased our locations, and we are back to where we were pre-COVID, and we are growing strong and adding more open gyms. And this year we're going to add soccer for our county facilities, and we're open for any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from the committee? Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I do have a question.
Mr. Allen.
Line 399, other contracted services increased by, looks like about $40,000.
Yes, ma'am. That is what we've used for our community grant program that we help to maintain our parks and facilities with and support with adding recreational opportunities at some of our parks that we manage. And so what that has done is we've seen a tremendous increase in cost of repairs because of the age of some of our parks. And, you know, they're getting them compliant electrically, plumbing, or lighting, and we have poles that have fallen down. And so in order to get us ahead, we're just never going to catch up. And that's what we discussed with the mayor at our budget meeting, is that the increase would really help us to try to address some of these problems in a larger scale.
And then on line 316, contributions, it went from 170,000 to 225.
That's the one that you just approved. It had to do with the hotel motel tax. Increased our estimate of revenue for that.
Anything else? Mr. Marshall, Mr. Reed, thank you so much.
Chairman, we need to go back and catch the alcohol and drug program. We'd skipped that.
I'm sorry?
Alcohol and drug program. We had skipped that line item on the agenda.
That's the one that we were talking about,
Previous one.
Commissioner Harris,
Yeah,
with the
Anybody has
billboards.
any?
Mr. Chairman, that was a task force that was put together with a lot of recovery court staff and et cetera, creating awareness for alcohol and drug abuse here in Rutherford County. Is $25,000. As our population continues to grow and the overdoses and suicides are eclipsing over 38 to 40 a month in our county, and it was an effort to try to bring awareness that there is hope and let people know that there are folks here that want to support that.
Just a question on that. There's 302 advertising. Is that the only line item that's in the budget?
Yes,
is
billboards.
advertising?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? If not, we'll call on Mr. Tuggle. The agricultural extension.
Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing?
Good.
I'm accept the mayor's recommendation if no one have any questions for me. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Tuggle has accepted the mayor's recommendation. Are there any questions or comments from the committee? That was easy, wasn't it?
It was easy.
Okay. We'll move on. Soil conservation. Good evening.
Evening. Marvin Whitworth, Chairman, Rutherford County Soil Conservation Committee. We certainly will accept the mayor's recommendation. We thank you for your support. We have, I think the only increase, if there is any, will be for employee salary. We have 2 full-time employees that are county employees. We serve and make available technical services for soil and water conservation for all people of Rutherford County, all landowners of Rutherford County. While I'm here and have the floor, I will toot our own horn. The Rutherford County Soil and Water Conservation District was named the top district in the state of Tennessee in 21, and we also had the Conservation Farmer of the Year in 2021. And thank you again for your support.
Congratulations for that. Any questions from the committee? If not, we'll go to the Ambulance Service Fund.
I don't think I'll get out as easy as some of the other people, but
No,
I
you won't.
also accept the mayor's recommendation and open to answer any questions.
In this fund, the estimated revenue is $18,174,980. Appropriations $19,546,656. But I too have a change to his.
Added more than 3,800 to mine.
Yeah,
when
we
I walked
did.
in.
We added 43,500 for communications in his budget. The 55130,307 from 76,536 to a change of 120,036 to bring the total to 19,590,156. And what these things are the circuits that OIT has been paying, and so we need to drop those back into his budget since it is separate from the general fund and has its own revenue source.
You said that was line item 307,
Yes, sir.
and you're adding how much again?
43,500.
Are there any questions or comments from the committee? We don't need to let him off this easy, guys, so.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Talk about the additional people.
yeah, we need to talk about the additional request of employees. If you'll talk about that, and then maybe hit on our convalescence facility. And I know there was questions when we first started that a couple of years ago on how well it's doing. So you can start out with employees.
Yeah, the additional employees are 4 float positions. That's 1 for every shift for a full year, and then 16 total new ones for half a year starting January 1. And that'll be the staff, Rockville and Kittrell. And then the convalescent side, we didn't ask for an increase in that budget this year. This is my first budget. Maybe we should have, but it's working well the way it is. We utilize a lot of part-time employees on that side, and that's where a lot of that, and we budgeted appropriately. I think we looked at it today, and we're within where we were, and it's definitely paying for itself. And it's a great training ground, a good starting point for us to start them there, kind of get them used to it, and then I don't know how many, I've lost track of how many's transitioned from convalescent to the 911 side, and it just makes it a whole lot easier when they're within the organization.
So Brian, explain to the committee how much we were actually bleeding on paramedics and EMTs. It was almost a war of other counties, people going. We were losing sometimes 2, 3, 4 a week, going to other counties. As much as we talked about our Tennessee Consolidated Retirement, it didn't matter because they were going for $10,000 more. So for those who are not on public safety, we went to 2472.
2472.
Has that helped?
Absolutely. It absolutely helped. We're in pretty good shape staffing-wise. We still have people leaving, but the changing the shifts to 2472 made a huge difference. Some of the counties that we're losing to, it's hard to compete. They pay more and do a whole lot less. So
we were losing several to Williamson County, but Williamson County doesn't have an ambulance service. It's actually owned by the hospital, Williamson County Hospital, and they don't have a retirement. But you try to explain that to those who want to go over there for $10,000 more. They don't see it until it's time to retire, that they don't have it. So it was still difficult of trying to retain those. So between the 2472 and possibly if this body will figure a way to increase to 15% on the pay scale, it will help the bleeding, right?
Definitely think that's heading in the right direction. And we've talked to a few people. If the 15% looks promising, I think we have some people that will probably come back if that happens.
Commissioner Dodd?
Thank you. I've got to make you go back and repeat. I was going through some notes. You picked up 19 people in this?
Net 19, net, because
Picked up 20 and dropped 1.
Right. The net 19, and your request, and the mayor agreed with your request. I see both your request and the mayor's ultimate were the same.
Correct.
And part of this is to fill the safety buildings that are being built?
Rockville and Kittrell, yes, sir.
Was it 3 shifts?
3 shifts at each building?
Right.
Or full, round the clock?
4 shifts, yes, sir.
4 shifts. Oh, yeah, that's the new. And equipment-wise, are you raising? I don't see a jump in equipment necessarily to equip the new buildings. Is that in here?
Yes. So we will. It's not necessarily requiring. Well, I guess it is. It falls under regular supplies of staffing a new ambulance. So there's 2 new ambulances and 2 remount ambulances in there. Cardiac monitor and some things like that, but the rest, most of the stock that goes on when we stock a new ambulance is not really a separate expense. It just falls in our medical line item.
So this year's the motor vehicles from the current budget and this budget are close because you added equipment last year and you're adding more this year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to add again, as public safety budgets are going up dramatically. The free buildings we got are going to have dramatic increases in yearly operational expenses. So we have to be prepared to talk about potential tax increase for public safety, whether it's a fire tax or I just hate to see just hitting the fund balances so hard. We did 30 million last year. We got 74 million predicted for this year. So I just want this group to be prepared to talk about revenue for public safety because this is a tremendous growth.
Any other questions from the committee?
And I do, if I may,
yes, sir.
I want to compliment, as I may have failed to do with Chief Farley, compliment you guys on how critical you are, how professional you are, both fire, EMS, ambulance, and emergency response. You do incredible jobs.
Thank you.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Ms. Nolan, if the Budget Committee accepts the recommendation for line item 307, it looks like it would bring the deficit to $1,415,176, and that would be absorbed through the ending fund balance. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'll need a motion to change the mayor's recommendation in line item 307 to increase it by $43,500. Is there a motion for that? Commissioner Johnson, thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Piercy, thank you for the second. Any discussion? If not, let's call the roll, please.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Gaither. We appreciate you. Sanitation and waste removal, Mayor Ketron.
No problem, man.
Well, early this morning, I got a phone call from Michael out at Paws. The problem is that the company that we have been using for dead animal pickup, we're not talking large animals, horses or cows. These are all the way up to adult deer. The company in Laverne that we have been using for probably a decade or more sold to another company. Michael kept calling, and they were reaffirming that they were going to continue their contract. Well, they called him late yesterday afternoon and told him that they were canceling our contract. So we're in a pinch. We don't know what it's going to cost.
Effective when?
July 1.
Is this the same contract that does large animals on
No,
farms?
sir. No, sir.
it's not.
That contract was,
That's what this is,
Yeah, that's what this is.
large animals.
is this the large animals?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
well-
what I thought.
In this line item. Mm-hmm.
So this is the one through Jerry Mansfield down at South Central?
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
Correct.
so this is for the cows and the horses then?
And the state passed a law making it illegal for them to do that now? They have to be buried on site?
I'm not aware of
I
that.
think so.
Not aware of that.
I've heard that. I can't back it up, but I have heard that fact, that they have passed a new law that they can't be hauled off site. They have to be buried on site, on the farm.
Well,
I thought that this was if
that's going
a
to be,
car hit it and it died on the side of the road.
This was for what he's speaking, Commissioner. My understanding, it was dead cows. I thought it was for dead cows, the large animals.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not aware of that. We can check into that first thing in the morning, Commissioner. It's going to make it really tough in a lot of our area. If any of you put out campaign signs lately, there's not a lot of dirt, to bury anything. It's all rock,
It would probably be something the county doesn't want to get involved in. Let somebody have a private business and do it, because somebody will do it.
Well, from what Michael was telling me this morning, that this company is going to continue taking the roadkill and taking it to Laverne, and they're going to do horses in Laverne, but they don't want Rutherford counties, even though they're in Laverne. This is perplexing because it has all just happened quickly. But I did send a letter of intent. Jerry Mansfield, who's over South Central Development District down in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, asked me, because the company up in Kentucky that was taking all these for the whole region, they'd been doing it for 70 some odd years, and they said they were going to go out of business. I think somebody's willing to come in and take over that operation, but they wanted to see a letter of intent, which I sent that letter 2 weeks ago, I believe. Letter of intent that we would continue to fund our portion of those large animals. Now, what I just shared with you at the beginning of this is another dilemma that just occurred this morning on roadkill type animals. I don't know how to handle that yet.
So this is for roadkill
No, sir, this is the big animals, the cows and
on someone's farm?
yes, sir.
Maybe I've missed this before, but if a cow or horse passes away, the farmer doesn't pay to...
No, what we do, you notify this company. The farmer gets his front end loader, hauls it out to the side of the road, and this company comes to mine and picks it up. Not to be buried on the premises.
So what do we need to...
Well, all I've done is send a letter of intent. It's not guaranteed that it's going to happen, but I would recommend we go ahead and approve it. Because that's the total amount that I'm recommending is all that I recommended.
And that's what they told us our portion would be.
Would be,
Yeah.
but they got to take all the other counties and add them together and see if they can go back and make the business model work. Because it's a...
And so as of right now, we don't have a vendor for that.
No, sir.
It's going to cancel the contract.
It's a contract.
Okay. Any questions from the committee on? Okay, other public health and welfare?
This is it medical director? But the large number is the autopsies.
And that's about what we did last year.
Yes.
Does the committee have any questions on this? If not, we'll go to other economic and community development.
Well, going back, Mr. Chairman, going back to that very quickly, you can see what we spent actual dollars, $689, and we're estimating 735 just based on the number of suicides and autopsies. That increase, and of course, as Ms. Nolan said, that the 18,000 is for our medical director. Okay.
Ms. Nola, on the other economic and community development.
Hold on, let me get there.
Go ahead.
Okay, that one, I don't have anything. This is the other economic community development that is a rollover for the home grant. It's a grant. So that's our estimate of what will roll over into next year.
If there's no questions from the committee, we'll move to garage.
That's listed as other charges on your book. You got a heading on page 41, but the body starts on page 42.
I got it.
That's Wayne. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, that's Wayne, who is located underneath the College Street location, underneath the old armory.
Gotcha.
He does our maintenance on our ambulances and other vehicles.
If there's no questions from the committee, we'll move to employee benefits.
Line 205, employee independent insurance, that is our pool amount. That's what we usually come in after open enrollment. People have selected their new things. If there's any estimate that was not correct, that's the pooled amount that we pull from, as well as unemployment compensation. We're not sure where that is, where that happens throughout the year. Mark will prepare an amendment in June for that, spreading those expenses to the account. Other fringe benefits is the estimate for the county's portion for the retiree health insurance for our retirees. 513 is our contribution for OJI.
If there's no questions from the committee, we'll move to payments to cities.
This is an estimate and is subject to change. This is the one that I was telling you. It relates to the town of Smyrna portion of the Nissan pilot agreement. So when I can figure out what that should be, then I can come back and figure this one out. So that one we'll have to come back to.
If there's no questions from the committee, miscellaneous?
Miscellaneous. That is our pooled amount for gasoline, our estimate for judgments, and that's our county's contribution to property casualty claims. Trustees Commission is a function of revenue.
Anything from the committee? Commissioner Dodd?
I thought I heard recently that there was a lawsuit that concluded recently, age discrimination in ambulance, public safety, $900,000. Is that?
Yes, sir.
It in here
I think, no, sir.
in judgments?
I think it's premature for us to discuss that. There is discussion of appeal.
And if we can turn to tab 6 for the Industrial Economic Development Fund.
Okay, the revenue for this fund is estimated at $148,879. Expenditures of $575,879. The money's coming into this fund is from the interest off the loans that we have made to the airport authority. So this is the money's coming in, and then payments out is payments to the debt service, to the debt service fund to pay that debt service. In addition to the revenue, that's interest, and you'll see on the cover sheet, in addition to the $148,879, they'll be paying $570,830 in principal.
What happened last year that it was over $6 million?
That is the money coming in for the bond proceeds. We borrowed money to turn around to lend to
Gotcha.
the airport authority. So that's what you're seeing there.
Any questions or comments from our committee? Under other business, Lisa, are you prepared to talk about the what we think is a new certified tax rate?
I am, but couch it and all over as unofficial, but at least it's given us some numbers to work with as far as the, I'm going to keep saying it's unofficial, but it's a number that Mr. Mitchell had given us to at least start firming up a little better on our revenue numbers for the current property tax. Interestingly, using this number, our current rate is $2.2194. That's what it is now. And again, I'm put fuzziness all around it just in case he has to make any kind of changes to it. But $1.6157. A huge drop. But it does provide additional revenue for the funds when you look at the county overall with the assessments and the growth that we have. I mean, it's revenue neutral, but what you're seeing, the increase is the additional growth in the community. So some are asking what's a general fund penny is $1,440,000. I'm going to round it, $1,447,000. $1,447,000. School penny, $897,900.
I'm sure we'll be looking more at that
right
in the coming weeks. But does anyone have any questions for Ms. Nolan at this time? If not, I know that Ms. Stevenson has sent out emails to us on some interview dates. Do you have an update or with anything, or?
So I haven't received a call back from the other two candidates. I'm still waiting. I'd reached out to them, and one of the applicants had returned my call, but when I called it back, then they weren't available. So I'm still trying to reach two of the applicants. So we've got two scheduled. So May 31st, we have the one scheduled for May 31st. After that meeting, she will come to the budget meeting that night, and then she knows that when it's through, then that the interview will take place after that. And then June 1st is when we had scheduled, and the notice went out for the other three interviews, and I've already coordinated with Lee Harris. He's already set up a Zoom link, and the way he set it up, because I was worried about somebody coming in on somebody else's interview, so he set it up that they could not enter the room until we allowed them to enter the room. The one applicant that is scheduled for the interview is the 7:30 interview slot, so I'm hoping the other two will get in contact with me. Also, I had, at the request of the committee, had reached out to Michael Smith, who had applied before, and he had declined the offer, to see if he was interested at this point in time. And he was supposed to call me today, but I did see I had a text and tonight, and so I haven't talked to him yet to see if he's interested or not. But I should know that by the next meeting.
Any questions from Stevenson? Is there any other business? Commissioner Prusi.
Where does the operations of this room fall in whose budget? Whose budget does this room fall in?
That would be our Office of Information Technology, IT.
Okay. These are pitiful. I can right up on your mic.
And I'll tell you, the people on TV can't hear you at all right now, because unless you, that's an omnidirectional, a unidirectional mic. You have to talk into it. It's not an omnidirectional mic.
We need to improve the mic system in this room.
I can address that.
I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
It's it's pitiful.
Well,
people tell me all the time, we can't hear y'all at all.
Well, I'm deaf in my left ear, so I struggle anyway to hear, and I try to watch your lips, and sometimes I miss it. But I'll be happy to address that with IT.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we've had these mics since, gosh, late 90s.
No, I think they've been improved once.
Have they? Okay. Take the little bonnet off, that might help. But I will. I'll talk to IT tomorrow.
Okay, anything else under Commissioner Allen?
I just want to remind everybody about the joint health and ed meeting next week, next Tuesday, in this room at 5:30. And please take time to review the budget in advance. And Mr. Bodery and Mr. Spurlock have both agreed to meet with folks one-on-one. If you've got any questions, want to go over the budget with them, it's pretty significant, so you might want to spend some time doing that.
And so that meeting is here, Commissioner Allen?
Correct.
And then Tuesday the 31st, and then Wednesday, June the 1st. What's Wednesday, June the 1st?
That's the interview meeting.
Interview? Okay, so that's not a budget meeting.
It's a budget committee, but it'll be to do the interviews.
Correct.
Conduct the interviews.
Ms. Stevenson?
I'm sorry, I'm glad you said that. Let me try this.
You're off.
One of the things that you need to talk about, and we can do it at the next meeting, but be thinking about it, is the follow-up interviews for any finalist, because we are only interviewing the 4 new applicants that was selected by the Budget Committee. But then you wanted to come back. That was where Mr. Smith came into it, and Mr. Hampton came into the interview process, was in the finalist. One of the things that we looked at is, and speaking with Lisa Nolan, to try to figure out what time to schedule if we were to do it on, was it the 2nd that we had said? There was no way for her to give me a time, because that's when the remainder of the budget, it was a lot going on that night, and so she was uncertain. So it was considered that maybe if we did it on a Saturday morning, you know, first thing like at 8 o'clock, the Saturday market would be going on, but the courthouse would be open already for the museum. So if we did whatever finalists, the 3 or 4 that you had, 2, 3, or 4, whatever it ended up being, at 8 o'clock, I don't anticipate that those interviews will take as long as our initials, because you're just asking, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 questions that we've not had before. You've already had the information about, tell us about yourself and your experience. You've already got that. So this is just, you know, the 3 or 4 questions that you need to make a decision which one of these is the top person we want to offer the job. So I can't envision those finalist interviews taking more than 30 minutes probably. Maybe 45, but probably around 30, just with 3 or 4 questions. So that's one of the things you need to consider if you're wanting to do that, because if we have to advertise it, then we need to get that ready. So I don't know if y'all want to talk about that tonight or
the other option is continuing the Thursday, June 2nd meeting as we did at the previous interviews, and not adjourn that meeting, but continue it to Saturday and not have to advertise.
Then you wouldn't have, if you decided to do that.
If you decided to do that.
I guess the concern for June 2nd, that's our one where you're crafting your
public advertisement
recommendation that will be published. And I just didn't know, I mean, I don't know how long that discussion will be. I don't know if it's going to be quick, if it's going to be long.
So the option on a follow-up with the possible 2 candidates that we've already interviewed would be that Saturday morning?
I mean, it would be whatever you decide. I was just saying that had been a suggestion. You know, I mean, honestly, you could do it on a Friday night at 5:30, or you could do it on you could do it anytime you wanted to. I'm just saying, I think you need to decide what day that you plan on doing that, so I can go ahead and get those scheduled for you as well, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know when to schedule them, because
I will say that when I was selected, the finals were all on a Saturday.
So the new ones, we're going to interview them one time, and then are the 2 that we've already interviewed, help me remember, is that a firm we're interviewing them, or do we wait until after we interviewed the new ones that we decide if we're going to go back and re-interview?
So yeah, you want to interview the 4 new ones, because they've not had their initial interview.
Correct.
And then after you interview those 4, you may decide that you want to put them into the finalist pool. So you say, okay, we're interviewing 4 and we really like these 2, so they're going to go into the finalist pool to then get their second interview with Mr. Hampton and Mr. Smith if he so chooses. And I haven't reached back out to Mr. Hampton yet, because I didn't have a date, and I didn't want to reach out to him until I had a date and a time. So if both of those gentlemen decide that they want to participate in the second rounds of interviews, then they would be added. And then whomever, if you choose somebody of the next 4 to interview as a finalist, they would be included in that.
And you were saying that...
I'm saying, I guess that's what I'm...
In decades gone by, it was...
Thank you.
The finalist was on a Saturday.
It was on a Saturday, yes. So that's what I'm saying, it wouldn't be unusual.
Yeah. I would like to have Chairman P be involved in this conversation, but does anyone have an objection to a Saturday?
It doesn't have to be at 8, it could be,
It could be at 6.
or 9.
5.
Mr. Piercy?
It would have to be before I go to work, and that would be before 6.
On a Saturday? Okay, before 6.
You can't just call out?
There's nobody to call when you own your business and you're self-employed. Maybe we could meet at 5.
Well, let's wait till Chairman P comes back and we'll talk to him and kind of make a decision. Is that okay?
Yes, it's not a problem. I'm just, if we wait till next Tuesday, is that the next meeting or Monday?
Tuesday, the 24th.
Tuesday. So if we wait till Tuesday and you're wanting to do it on Friday, the only thing, I mean, whatever day you do it, we just got to be mindful that the candidates may not be able that quickly, you know. I was just trying to, so we might need to put it off till the next week is what I'm trying to say. I mean, I don't know that there's a huge rush,
That would
but
be the next week, I believe.
Was there a Friday open?
The Saturday that you're talking about would be,
okay.
the Saturday you're talking about is June 4th, and that is another week after next week's meeting.
Next week,
So
okay.
you'll
I didn't have my
a-
dates.
You have a week and a half.
Commissioner
basically.
Allen just told me I had my,
Yeah.
thank you.
So if we interview the new 4 and we're like, oh, wait, we're ready to make a decision, do we have to have a finalist?
That would be up to this commission. You've already interviewed the first round of candidates. If in your interviews for your initial interview, you say,
Okay.
I don't need to have a second interview because this candidate, I mean, that ultimately that's up to this group. You don't have to have a finalist interview. I was just saying if
we do.
you were going to do that, you at least had to give this group the same opportunity that you gave the first group is what I was trying to say.
Gotcha. Any other business before this committee? If not, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.